Welcome to the podcast Magic is Real, everyone. It's so nice to have you here. My name is Shannon. I am a psychic medium, and I host this podcast where I interview near death experiencers and other people who have had spiritually transformative experiences. I am very happy today to have with me Cheryl Murphy, who is a evidential psychic medium. I'm going to read her bio for you. She's studied metaphysics for over 20 years, including international studies in Brazil and Germany, as well as seminars and classes in Colorado. She has oriented her practice as a spiritual medium towards channeling loved ones who have passed over and psychometry. She is a clairvoyant, healer, and ordained minister, as well as a certified hypnotherapist and an intuitive facilitator. Thank you, Cheryl, so much for joining me today. I love your background.
Thank you. And thank you, Shannon, for inviting me on your show. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time and energy.
Mm.
Well, for those who don't know, I just mentioned psychometry, so I'm just going to have you explain what that is. I know what it is, but people may not. And I'd love to have you just talk a little bit about your work.
So, psychometry is an amazing gift that I believe a lot of people have. They just don't know that this is what it's called. But it's about receiving energy from an object. And that object could be a picture, a photograph. It could be a piece of clothing, maybe from a departed loved one, or earrings, for example, even artwork, or anytime we're feeling and sensing energy, Shannon, if we can actually hold an object or put our hands on an object that meant something to a departed loved one, even from long ago, even from centuries old, even, you can feel the energy or sense the energy coming from it. You can feel the spirit, you can feel the presence of the spirit coming from it. So when people go even into old buildings, for example, they can feel the history of the building. And maybe if they put their hand on the wall, even, you can sense and receive information and insights. So, what I do in my work is I usually either hold a piece of jewelry that someone wears all the time, and even in my psychic readings. So, for example, if I were giving you a reading and you handed me a pair of your earrings or a favorite bracelet that you wore all the time, I would pick up the energy coming from that bracelet and be able to help you or receive messages for you from your guides, your angels, maybe help give you direction, reading your energy field. So, psychometry is all about reading energy. A favorite one to do also for people to try this is to look at a photograph. Look at a photograph. You can even hold it in your hands like this and feel the energy start coming off of it. And a story might unfold in your heart, in your third eye, for example. You might hear a word. Uh, it's very interesting, psychometry. I mean, it really creates a very healing experience for people, and it's a way to connect. And that's what I teach. I teach people how to connect with their higher self and with the spirit world.
I love that. Sometimes I go to Goodwill once a week. I'm a thrifter.
Do you?
I like to go to the knickknack section and hold all the things and see what I receive. There's no way to validate it, but I like to see what stories emerge just by doing that. I think it's so fun. And I always get spirit energy when I'm in Goodwill because of all the belongings that have belonged to other people on the other side or even here. So thank you for sharing that. That's so cool. How did this all begin for you?
I was thinking about it this morning. Is I really first saw spirit when I was very small, very young, around 3 years old. I was sleeping with sharing a room with my sister. We were very small children, and spirit came in my bedroom and woke me up. And it was came in a beautiful ball of golden light. And I was never afraid of this ball of light. And I remember it bouncing around, and it felt like a family in this beautiful ball of light, like young family. I believe that they also had children. They were coming to check on me. They were coming to make sure that I was okay. And they were saying, "Hey, how do you like it down here? You're going to be fine. This is fun, right?" And they were so happy for me that spirit never really felt like anything to fear at all. Now, after I connected with them several times in my childhood, when they would come visit me, they started, moving objects objects around in my room before they would leave. They would move the calendar on the wall or they would roll the ball across the floor. But it was really all fun jest. So I even had that experience at such a young childhood that it really, once again, I remember it to this day in detail, but it stayed with me. They came to me very often as a child. And then I don't know about you, but as a teenager, it kind of went away, I guess, because I was doing the growing up thing, the high school, the college events. And then it really hit me again in my college years. I knew this is what I wanted to study. I knew this is where I was going in my life. And I've had many episodes with the spirit world helping me on my path. So here I am. I want to share with you this amazing angel experience I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
So,
Good. I was gonna
and
ask
this
you, please tell stories.
well, this can happen at any time in your life, and even you can have as many as you wish. But I was at a time in my life where, once again, wasn't sure how I was going to get from point A to point B. Like I was working a day job, not so much doing this full time. I wasn't doing readings. I wasn't doing any psychic or mediumship work full time. I was always doing it on the side, part time, doing it for friends, doing it on the weekends, so to speak, working with people, and that's how I filled my schedule. But in the daytime, I had like a traditional job in healthcare. One day, Shannon, spirit came to me in my home, and it was really like a bolt of lightning, as they say. I felt an immediate surge of energy. My angels grabbed me from my with my t-shirt, for example, and they picked me up and put me in a lifeboat and they go, "Look, we need you to help us. We need you to help us more than what you're doing now. We need someone to be our voice to get our messages out. And we're going to help you, but you're going to be doing this more and more and full time. And we'll help you. Don't worry." Sure enough, within a matter of days, weeks, months, I'm on my way. My website opened right around the end of the Mayan calendar. So, right around like 2012 in December. That January 2013, my business exploded. It grew and grew. And I knew that my purpose, I knew I was on the right path because I always received so much validation and confirmation from angels. And that's really my biggest impact in my life is having those moments where you feel this flood of love and energy come right through you. And it can happen to anyone, whether you're a medium or a psychic and intuitive or not. If you're a spiritual being on this planet, as we all are, you are very open and you're looking for answers. If you're looking for answers and asking for help, asking your guides for help with love, um, you never know what can happen. I mean, just be open to anything because I felt so much love and direction at that time in my life. Yeah.
Yes, and that leads us to something that we wanted to talk about today, which is faith. You said 2 other words. Now I don't remember what they were, so I'm just gonna let you take it away and tell me,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
faith, trust, confirmation that we're not alone, right?
yeah.
That we are psychic, that we are mediums, that we are healers, whatever avenue you want to do in your life. You always want to be the best you can at it. And sometimes we lose our way, or we always have the doubts that come in our mind is, am I really psychic? Am I really a medium? Is this really happening? And I even tell my students, it is with practice. It does take practice for this to kind of be embedded or for you to trust to know for sure. I always tell people, look, once again, it's the whisper, it's the knock on the door, and then spirit knocks the door down to help you because spirit wants us to believe. They want us to have trust and faith that all of this is happening. So I always tell my students, look, practice, and once again, you will step from doubting into maybe believing, and then you will certainly step into a knowingness. And that's when we step into that knowingness, that's where the trust starts happening, the faith grows, and we're unstoppable, I believe, at that point. Does that happen for you at all? Do you ever have a doubt at all, Shannon? Or
Yeah.
do you ever teach people when they come to you and say, "How do you believe so much? How do you do this, Shannon?"
Yeah, I am glad we're talking about this. It's been on my mind a lot, so I'm
Oh,
glad that we're having a discussion about it. That I was telling you that sometimes a reading is like The spirits are handing me the information on a silver platter, and it is just downloading and downloading. And the people are like, oh my God. And I'm so amazed at the power and the ability to understand what they're saying, to communicate it clearly. And other times, readings can be a little muddled or they're not as clear. And even after having done this for years, I start to, I don't know if I doubt myself, but a little, I think I do more than and so it takes faith and trust to remember that if spirit has a strong message,
Mhm,
it will be delivered.
mhm,
And that if for some reason that reading isn't as clear as some, there is a reason. And I
yeah.
have to trust the spirit world to know what that person needs to hear on that day. So I don't know if you knew, but I have trust tattooed on my wrist to
Do
remind myself
really? Oh, yeah,
because of this work to say, don't doubt yourself. Like
yeah.
there are times when it isn't as clear. There are times where it's so clear. It's like spirits talking right in my ear. And I feel like I'm having a real conversation with a real person. And it is invisible to us. So it's so easy for us to go into, is this am I making this up? And one of my teachers said to me, it will feel like you're making it up a lot
Ah,
of the time. So I'd love to hear your take as a
yeah,
teacher, as a
yeah,
medium yourself. And have you
right.
ever struggled with that self-doubt?
Yeah, I have to say, sometimes when I'm very tired, like at the end of the
Yeah.
day from working, and someone really needs a reading and I agree to it, the doubt will step in and say, Cheryl, you're too tired.
Yep.
What are you doing? You should really give yourself a break. And I'm like, no, this person really needs it. And I'll talk to them. And for some reason, that's when my faith steps in. I just know I can help them in some way, even though, because that's what it's all about. It's about we stepping out of our own way, right? So I stepped
Yep.
out of my own way, as tired as I was. Spirit came through and I feel and gave a beautiful message. And I feel what happened, Shannon, is I had let my guard down. That's what happens is we get so worked up that we're not prepared. We're not ready
Yes.
for the reading. We're as mediums. But sometimes when you're being called to be of service, it may come at times when, it's not scheduled or what have you, when you're not prepared for it. But I gave and I felt a very strong connection with this person. It was a beautiful reading. I do believe they appreciated it. I felt spirit coming through so lovingly because I got out of my own way. And that's really what I want to tell people is, as you said, the spirit world will come through. If they have a message, they will make their way to the person they're trying to give it to.
I agree. I had a migraine once and I took pills, so I wasn't on the floor. But I thought, "Oh, should I cancel? I feel migrainey. I just don't feel good." It was one of the best readings I ever did. So it proved to me that you don't always have to be high vibe and feel amazing.
Yeah.
You do have to raise your vibration, but I think you can raise it just simply by intention.
Yes, by helping people, yes, by setting the intention and really knowing that there is that faith and trust that comes from spirit. Even when you hear the words that you're speaking to help this person, you can feel the connection right away, and we feel their loved ones coming through. A lot of times, to build the trust and faith, I always tell my students, once again, getting feedback from the recipient or the sitter, right? If you can tell that the information that you're giving is resonating with them, that it means something, that it's being felt heartfelt, that also can build your trust or build your faith when you're delivering messages, right? So it's not only practicing or getting feedback, but it's also stepping into your own power, Shannon. Like what I always do is I'm always connecting with spirit, really a lot of the day, I have to say, I'm always in communion with them and really just carrying on, making it feel normal and natural. And if I have problems or if I need help in a personal way, I work with them on my personal time. So I always tell people, look, you can talk to the spirit world anytime when you're feeling great or when you have challenges in your life, but building that rapport or that feeling like it is a conversation, feeling like you are talking to a friend or a loved one, asking for help, that's going to build your faith and your trust.
And sometimes we forget that all we have to do is ask. As
Mhm.
long as it's in everyone's highest and best good, it's pretty miraculous. The other day I was saying, "I haven't had work in a month, and this is getting scary." My friend said, "Well, did you talk to God?" Because she's a Christian, and she's like, "I go direct to God." And she said, "I talk to him like he's a person, and I just literally say, talk to him and ask him questions." So, yeah, I said, "Oh, yeah, I sometimes forget that too." And again, it doesn't have to be God. It can be your spirit guides, whoever you're comfortable, your loved ones in spirit. And I
Mhm.
just said, "All right, here's the situation. I'm giving this up to you. And this has been really stressful. And I'm willing to do the work. You just show me the path. You know, I love to work. Give me, show me how I can be of service." And the next day it was like, 3 mediumship readings and a like a larger voiceover job came in, and I was said, "Thank" and I make sure to thank them, to let them know, "I know that was you,"
That's
to
such
acknowledge.
beautiful reminder too, is to
Yeah,
give thanks and give spirit all of our love and gratitude, and yeah, give them thanks for everything they taught you. If people want to write it down, I always suggest having a spiritual journal, writing down, documenting your experiences. It kind of makes it more real in that way to kind of see it in writing. Yeah, and to
yeah,
remind us when we forget.
yeah. Now to people who may not know, uh, what are the ways that how do you communicate with spirit? How do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
understand what they're trying to tell you
yeah.
or what they are saying to you?
Mhm. So we communicate with spirit through sensing spirit, whether we hear them or see them. So we're using our five senses and we're also using that intuitive sense. So we communicate with them for myself. I hear them, I feel them, the clairsentience. So I hear them clairaudiently and clairsentiently. I feel them. I see them through my clairvoyance, that third eye. And then claircognizance, where I know I'm getting a message. I know that they're right with me. And then there's a couple of more ways we could even taste the pasta sauce that their grandmother used to make, or we smell the cigarette smoke or the flowers that they grew in their garden. However, you and I can sense and open up our hearts, because it really is through the heart and the mind, but opening our heart up, I believe that's really the anchor or the main thing that we can do. Open your heart up to receive love, to not be in control of the reading, to really surrender and not have expectations, and to bring joy and excitement. Look, this is exciting. This is a miracle, really, that a departed loved one is connecting with their sibling, their wife, their husband, their son right in front of us. So it is a miracle just to be that medium, to be that in between where I can deliver those messages. And I've had the same messages for me. I mean, people have read for me and have brought my loved ones through, and I connect with my loved ones as well. But it's lovely to receive a reading from a medium because it can be so healing and so validating.
Yes, and people have asked me, "Why do I need a medium?" And I said, "Well, you don't need a medium because you can communicate with your own loved ones in spirit. I'm just trained to interpret, to understand and interpret these very subtle messages." And that for me included meditation daily, uh, studying the art, doing practice readings for free for 2 years. So twice a week, 2 readings a week for free, just to start to learn when I get a yes. Yeah, I kind of did feel
Mhm.
something different when I was on. And then if they say, "No, that doesn't resonate," yeah, I think that came from my brain. I don't think that did come from my heart or whatever it is. And we all have these different ways as mediums of interpreting. Some people do see spirit with their eyes. A friend of mine here does. A friend of mine, she literally sees, she said it's like a transparency,
Mhm.
and she can see like an outline, but she can also see their features. She said
Mhm.
it's an overlay is how she described it.
That's so beautiful.
I do not see them.
Mm,
I feel as I do right now, and it happens when I sit with other mediums
mm,
in their presence. I
mhm.
tend to feel spirit
With you, yes.
with me, and that mean for me, it's tingles. It's, it feels like, I always say it's like that thing from Sharper Image, the head massage tool. It's like that spidery
Yeah,
thing, and then it goes down, but it
Good.
for some reason only goes down on my right side. I don't know why. It's just probably a neurological thing.
Well, it's amazing because I always feel spirit on my right side too. That's like
Really?
that's how they come to me mostly,
Oh,
whether I'm
interesting.
feeling or seeing them behind you or but mostly they come to my right side. I do feel now when
Wow.
there's more than one, then they seem to move around a little bit. But isn't that interesting that you're also sensing
Yeah.
on our right
That's
side?
so interesting. It's often down my right thigh.
Mm,
And I'll be in a public place at the grocery store and I'm like, "Spirit's here." I can feel it. It's so wild, and that's how I know, but someone else who's not trained or isn't aware or doesn't believe may not realize that's a spiritual sensation. They might think, "Oh, I'm getting a chill. It must be chilly in here." It doesn't come with chill. It's not cold for me.
mhm. Oh,
It's
interesting.
it's warm, and it feels like someone's touching me like this. It feels really nice and very pleasant, and then I just go, "Who's here?"
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
When I sense them, I feel the joy that they have or the even the frustration that they may have because they want to really come through. It's almost like when they really want to get the message through, Shannon, you can feel them. I feel myself leaning forward even because the energy wants to come out. And once I deliver the information, it's like I can rest.
Yes.
That work for you? Does that happen?
Yep. I remember one where I did a reading, and my readings go pretty long. I like to really deep dive. It's just me. And I also really connect with people and just like hanging out with them. So for me, it's fun. But there was this reading where I felt, oh my goodness, so much energy, most physical sensation I've ever felt. And I said, "Oh my gosh, do you have a husband?" On the other, yep. He's flickering the lights for you. He is saying he is so, so sorry. He should have listened to you. He needed to go to therapy. He loves you so much. She said, "I know exactly what that means." And she started crying. And then all of a sudden, he went away. And she said, "That would be him." I said, "He just said, that's it. That's all I got to say." And she goes, "That is so him." And it literally lasted 10 minutes and it was out. It was
That's
like, "That's it." And she goes, "You just help me." She goes, "I've been asking him this for
mm,
10 years since he passed to
mhm,
say the and he said something else, I don't remember. But it was like,
yeah,
that's what I asked him to tell me, and you just and I was like, that's all I got." She's like, "That's all I needed."
wow. I mean, just the feeling of a few words, as you said, can be so healing for people. And that, of course, we take on even the mannerisms from the spirit world. Like sometimes I'll be busy with my hands, and it's because the spirit world worked with their hands, or they built houses, or I feel like I want to dance. Maybe it's because they were dancing in their life, or even I feel like I want to write, or I have a bunch of. I'll start seeing maybe in their home they have a bunch of papers or bills scattered on the desk, you start seeing actually through their eyes. So this can happen too, the clairvoyance of connecting with them. But spirit, they will use whatever they can to come through and communicate to their loved ones. So they may work, for example, sometimes they'll come through me clairvoyantly and clairsentiently, and then their other relative will step in and they'll work with me clairaudiently. So they'll work however they can, whatever's comfortable for them and however they can get through to you. And that's really the beauty and the art of or the artistry of mediumship is that it's never the same, right? It's always different,
Yeah.
always changing.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And I think that people don't necessarily understand, like I didn't before I studied mediumship. I just thought um that it's so what they may not know is that it's so subtle, and that's where the faith and trust come in.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it's just, I want to say this, I don't know how I know it. I don't know if I'm even right. Even when I'm saying it, I'm like, I don't know if this is right, but I feel prompted to speak these words. And that's all it is. It's just a very subtle thing. Or if I'm speaking to you, I'm
Mhm.
listening to you, but I'm also directing my attention to my subconscious brain, which for me somehow manifests physically as the back of my head, like the back of my neck. That's
Right.
just where I feel the energy. It could be for you a totally different place. And then I just go, okay, I'm looking at you and I'm also tuning into what's in the background. And
Mm,
we all have stuff happening in the background. We tune it out because we have to focus on the matter at hand.
right.
How does it work for you?
So right, so when I'm giving my readings, as you said, we listen to, we connect with the recipient, the sitter, the person we're helping, but also you have to also open your awareness to what's in the room, what's beyond the room, what's the lighting like, what's the feeling like of the room that you're in with this person, but or on Zoom with, but also open your awareness to the world, to the universe, to the spirit world. And it's kind of a blending with your energy and the power of the spirit world or the love of the spirit world, and asking them, inviting them to come in. It's like meeting someone for the first time, right? You wouldn't ask them, 20 questions right off the bat. You'd say, "Hi, who are you? Who am I with? Uh, Tell me about yourself. What message can I deliver to this person I'm working with that would help? How can I connect you? You're the father. How can I connect you to your daughter or your son? What information would identify you that they can confirm or validate? What message do you have for them?" So it's like that conversation, like sometimes we're the medium where we're having that three-way conversation. Sometimes we feel them so much a part of this, as you mentioned, we just know. We don't even know how we know. We just know it's coming through because the spirit world likes to work with us mentally sometimes or
Mhm.
claircognizantly with that um, psychic sense, I'll call it.
Right. I love to hear stories. If and of course we have client confidentiality, but are
Yeah.
there any stories that stand out that just even blew you away or that were really profound or memorable for you that you can share?
I always love the stories that so in mediumship, I had a client who was going to travel into another country, and we before she went to go travel on her vacation, I did a reading for her, and I brought through her loved one, and we brought through validation, yes, and we started talking about what she will find on her trip and on her travels that will be signs from her loved one. And this is what happened. She found the cross that we talked about. She found the book. She found the road sign. She found the name of the town, even though it wasn't part of her trip. So these things that she came back to me with after she got back from vacation and just showed me the photos and the confirmation. I mean, we feel the confirmation from the spirit world, but to have it come back to you in this way, it would totally blew me away still, that I think of her father, her family, and the messages that they delivered.
Right. And the what's so interesting about that is they show us sometimes objects. So I did a reading a couple weeks ago where I saw a snow globe and couldn't take it.
Mhm.
And then we were talking. I said, I feel like you're making a step up in your career. She's like, I'm starting a new job. She sent me a picture the following week. She started her new job and there was a snow globe on the
Oh,
desk, like right next to her that she put on her desk with the company name. And it was like a welcome kind of a thing.
mhm,
And she was really excited about the job. And I knew this job was really for her. I
mhm.
knew that this was going to be amazing. And it
Yeah.
was like the snow globe was the confirmation, but also sometimes they show us things that are so mundane.
Mhm.
I did a reading yesterday or day before, whatever, and I said, "Did your vacuum cleaner just break?" She said, "Yes, it just did. I saw it. I saw her I said, "I see you vacuuming and then it breaks." And she said that just happened where I ran it over a little baby onesie and it got sucked into the thing and now it's broken. And I said, "That's just your husband letting you know that he sees what's happening." So it's not always some angel figurine or something. Sometimes it's something funny like a household item breaking.
Yes, exactly. It could be something as mundane, and these mundane things that we think or we may think, doesn't spirit have anything else better to do?
Yeah.
But no, that's the goal. That's the goal, is for them to show you that we're with you. We see you. We see you living your life. We're supporting you from above. We're doing what we can to let you know we love you. We're sending you signs every day. The universe sends us signs every day, 1,000 of them. And it's really up to us to remember that, hey, that hummingbird that's a sign from my father, right? Or the coins, that's from my uncle, always giving me coins when I was a child. So I know when I see them, that's a sign from him. But really, to go about our day living in that beautiful connection that we have with our loved ones, with our guides, finding I sometimes have a client that always finds a bird feather, a feather from a bird, excuse me, but in the most unusual places. That's what makes it
Yeah.
amazing, those signs.
Yeah. I have asked for spirit guides to show me a sign and found a white feather, and there's no down comforter, because that could be why. There's literally no source of it. Where
Hmm.
is that coming from? It's just sitting there right on the stairs.
Hmm.
So I don't know how they do it, but it's really amazing. And I would love to talk to you about how can we communicate with our own loved ones on the other side? Sometimes it can be difficult to be objective, which is why I too love
Hmm.
to see mediums,
Yeah.
because I already know, excuse me, I have a hiccup. I already know my grandmother.
Yes.
So if I'm imagining her and I'm hearing her voice, is that a memory, or is she actually, I know she's with me, but is what
Hmm.
she's saying to me, am I receiving that correctly? Do I imagine that's how she'd say it? But if you tell me, I see your grandma behind you and looks like this and she's telling me this, that I know it's not just coming from me.
Right. And that's a great question. And sometimes people just do go to mediums and get readings because they do have that doubt or that faith, or they just feel like they're not connecting with their loved one,
Yeah.
that it's them and not their loved one. Um, my number one go-to is meditation. Always meditate, because it is about all of us opening up our awareness. So I would say meditate, set that intention, ask your loved ones to come through. It is through giving you signs or confirmation, validation along the way. But I do also recommend practicing not only meditation and not only setting your intention, which is everything, but doing some automatic writing. I have done some amazing automatic writing with my loved ones in spirit, where they're giving me information even before I ask the question. And that may even come through with guides and angels. It's called automatic writing or spirit writing. So these ways we can connect with our loved ones until we get to that point where we know that it's them and not us. And I believe you probably can say, as you mentioned with faith and hope, that it's the feeling you get in the heart space. It's the feeling you get of, yeah, they're here, but it's something else. There's something more to it. Like right now, I'm meditating, asking my family to come through, and we're spending even more of a conversation right now. So this is the practice that I'm having with them, is that I'm actually sitting for them and with them, and we're having these amazing conversations to where it may feel like you're pretending in the beginning, but if you just keep trying, you'll begin to feel a flow. You'll feel a flow. You'll feel there's something else here. There's something else that I'm feeling. That's what I would
Hmm.
suggest. Yeah.
Yeah. I did that with my aunt. I just said,
You
can you
did?
just tell me something? And called my mom and said what I was seeing was somebody doing her nails, or
Oh.
like taking, and she said, "Oh, yes, I did that." I didn't know that, but she said, "Yep, I did that for her when she was in the home, when she had dementia." And I said, that was something I felt was coming from her, but I just wanted her to validate that she was
Mhm.
here. So you can do the same thing with your own loved ones. It's
Mhm.
just you have to have somebody to validate it, because grandma could say, I love you. And I'd be like, I already know that. I mean, of course
Yeah.
she's going to say, I love you. I'm going
Yeah.
to say, I love you. And I can tell any of my clients, no matter what their relationship was with the person in spirit, that person now, who as a soul
Mhm.
loves them, because the soul goes back to pure love.
Mhm. It's true. A lot of times, our loved ones, they have lives that are difficult, that are
Yeah.
challenging, as we all do. And they may leave this world having had an argument with someone, and but there's no anger on the other side. They're only forgiveness. They're only wanting to reach out either to apologize or express love. So, it is about the transformative, awareness. It's really the opening of the consciousness that we see more, I believe, our departed loved ones. They do. Their consciousness is open. They're more highly aware of what's happening, and they wouldn't want us remaining. They wouldn't want anyone being angry with them or holding a grudge or thinking that they're holding a grudge. And as a medium, that's what we do, is we deliver messages that may, bring those two ends that may meet or may bring that healing in a reading. So really, it's about making that connection of the spirit world, the sitter, and the medium. If we have that trinity happening, it's a really nice blend of energy. So it does take three people to really make a good reading: the medium, the person we're helping, the client or the sitter, and then, of course, the spirit world. They're always there, no problem there. But when you have that beautiful blend of energy, when you set that intention, you can really bring some harmony and hopefully touch the person you're helping by letting them know, maybe hopefully they're feeling their loved one in spirit. Yeah.
Yes. And what is the most common thing that you experience? Let me reword that. What is the most common thing that spirit wants to relay to their loved ones?
hmm There, it's a great question. And it may sound common, so common, but really spirit wants people to know, or their departed loved ones want us to know, that they're okay, they're safe, they're fine, and that they are not in pain. I delivered that message to a woman in a reading. The first thing out of the mouth of her mother who had passed was, "I just need you to know I'm not in pain anymore." And that was the most amazing message for her, because during the departure, when the mother was still living, there was that subject of how do we manage the pain? It was a huge conversation. They were having difficulty. So, delivering a simple message like "I'm out of pain" is the most perfect. That's the thing about spirit, is they'll give you the most poignant, or they'll use the fewest words to deliver the most information they can, to let you know that they're okay. And it rings so true when you hear it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think too, having interviewed many near-death experiencers, you hear of all these horrible things happening, like accidents and things that people pass from, and they always tell me, "I wasn't in my body for that." And that has really allowed me to let go in life a lot more because I don't live in fear,
Mhm,
because I know that even if something happens to me,
mhm.
my soul will leave my body and spare me, even if you come back, even if you do survive it. Your soul has a way of protecting yourself. It's coming back in that can be traumatic.
Right, you're taking what when I've heard that too, right before the passing, they're a little bit more objective. They're
Yeah.
not in the pain anymore. They're just more aware of what's happening minus the pain. And I've had those messages come through for people and for animals. When animals are
Yeah.
passing, they are not in pain. They were never in pain. They are, because they're not so much talking to their human parents sometimes, or the human parents can't understand if the animals are okay. So yes, the soul is what's happening. The soul is becoming more aware and is not so much involved in the humanness or the duality that we have here on earth, where there is a pain. They're moving more into the spirit body.
Yes. Yes. I think that's a very comforting thing. I'm no longer afraid of flying in airplanes or things like that, where I used to think, yeah, but I don't want that to happen. But I've had near death experiencers tell me, oh, even before, it was almost as if I saw the bus coming, I shot out and I watched my body
hmm
take the impact, but I wasn't there. I didn't feel it. So I hope that brings comfort to people. It doesn't mean that pain doesn't exist
hmm
in terms of long-term illness and things like that, but death is actually a reprieve, and it's not really a death. It's
Mhm.
just saying goodbye to this world and this body for now. What do you know or think about reincarnation?
Well, I love reincarnation. I love reincarnation. And if I may just finish that thought on the
Please do.
please, is
Yeah,
that so when we work with our clients, when we work with students, when we meet other mediums along on our path, we meet people who are in pain
yeah,
and they're dealing with situations. It's reminding me of a client I had, and this is the beauty of mediumship and of learning
yeah,
how to develop your intuition is that when you learn that you are connected to the spirit world and you're still living vibrantly in this world, it can actually heal you or help
yeah.
you if you're having any type of pain. So I remember you're reminding me this gentleman I worked with, he had had a car accident and he was on a year later still in a lot of pain, back pain, what have you, not able to sleep, really couldn't hold a job because his couldn't keep his attention. Maybe he was having PTSD. And he wasn't aware that he had angels and guides helping him. He wasn't aware of his own intuitive gifts or his own intuitive abilities. So when he came to me, we worked together, we practiced, I showed him, I coached him really, and that's what it is. It's about coaching and confirming that yes, this is what you're feeling and seeing and hearing. And sure enough, the medication he was taking had been reduced over time. The pain pills he was taking had been reduced because his intuition had opened up to a point where he was receiving healing from the spirit world. He was open to receiving healing and insights, really on even how to live his life or to feel good in the situation and to learn from that accident or to look back and try to do some forgiveness with whatever happened during that time in his life. So, learning how to develop your intuition, or even if it's just for yourself, whether you do it professionally or not, it can be a lot of healing happening in turn as we connect. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so reincarnation, tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Reincarnation, I do believe in reincarnation, uh, but it's challenging because I always have to ask if we believe in past, present, and future,
Mhm.
do we also believe that everything is happening at once, right? In the now? So can we understand that we're living all of our past, present, and future in this moment, in the now, right? So then when we talk about reincarnation, it's as if something that will happen in the future or has happened in the past. But once again, if we're getting into everything is happening in the now, then I'm wondering about that phrase of reincarnation, right? Can we use that word? But I do believe in it overall. I do believe if we're going to use a measurement, a linear measurement of past, present, and future, I do believe we come back thousands of times, hundreds of times. And I do believe we've lived in other parts of the world and we've been we've been the father, the daughter, the son, the mother. We've been different personalities, or we've lived in different situations. And this is all to grow and all to help bring our awareness to our true soul's calling, which is to remind us that we are all connected and that we are all healers and that we're all co-creators in this universe. I've had animals even tell me in readings, the soul of the animal that would say they're going to come back and be this different animal, and that has happened. I've heard from different loved ones who have departed that say, I'm going to come back. I don't know when yet, but I want to come back. Or I've heard from spirits saying, I'm good. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be over here. But a big question is can we reincarnate and also be there for our family? If we're the first to depart, can we be there when the other family members arrive, right?
Yep.
So so if your loved ones pass, if your grandparents pass, will they wait for you when it's your turn, when we cross? And the answer is yes. I definitely believe that and they too can also have a reincarnation experience if they want, because there are aspects of the consciousness that are so vast that yes, your grandparents will always be your grandparents. They will be there when it's your turn to cross. They will be there to greet you. And yes, they can also have their own experience from their soul's consciousness. Yeah.
exactly how I understand it.
Is that right? Mm.
Mhm. I studied with Monica the Medium. She had her own
Oh,
TV show, and she describes it as a clementine fruit. And the clementine fruit is a little ball, and then it has all these little wedges. And I just got chills. So I guess this is right. So the clementine fruit is the whole higher self, I guess you'd call it. And then each one of the wedges is a part of your soul that
mm,
branches off and has different experiences. So,
mm,
yes, you maintain
yeah,
my grandma Carmen, she's always Grandma Carmen. That doesn't change.
right.
Then she's also maybe a Buddhist monk in
Mhm.
some other timeline in the year 1500 or whatever. And like you said, it's like that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that really, which I recommend to everyone,
Yeah.
which really talks about the idea of there being no time on the other side. It's all happening all at once. And so our past lives aren't actually happening back then. They're happening right now in another dimension,
Mhm.
which is it kind of boggles the mind. And my head started to almost explode while you were talking, even though I already feel the same way. It's like,
Wow.
well, if that's the case, how do we know about history? But we do because that's just our paradigm.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, if I'm me, Shannon, like I consider this me, Shannon, and I'm aware that I'm Shannon, when I reincarnate, am I the same person but having a different experience, or am I a totally different? It's so hard to understand, but we don't need to understand. It's just something that we can't comprehend because we haven't consciously experienced it. We have experienced it, but we don't remember.
True. And learning and talking about having these conversations, I mean, it really opens up your consciousness. So there's like an expansion and contraction happening,
Yeah,
and then you feel full, and that's a good place, right? It's a good place to digest, live with it, balance it, see what you like, and then learn more about it if you can. But it is very vast, and it's
yeah.
such an exciting topic to be talking about.
I agree. It's all so fascinating. Knowing what you know of the spirit world, how does it affect just the way that you navigate life? It's a
Mhm.
very general question. Answer however you feel.
Yeah. Personally, it helps me navigate life knowing that there is a light in all of us,
Yeah.
right? And that people are doing the best they can,
Mhm.
and that everybody has challenges in life, and that everybody is looking for healing or love or to be loved. Everyone is looking for happiness and joy and abundance in all ways. And when I go out in the world or in my daily practice, everyone I meet, I always try to show kindness, and I always just try to take a moment and acknowledge people because everyone's on this path. And it's so beautiful to connect to other light or other beings or other energies because, you never know what's going on in someone's life. But if you can offer, that smile, or if you can offer opening the door for someone, for example, those small acts of kindness, that's how it's shifted my life. As I believe I pay more attention to that, is I do try to go out in the world and see how I can help, right? That's kind of how I work, is I try to, respect others and give them their own space and their own voice. And then also, try to uplift people too.
Absolutely. I do too. Where can people find you? What is your website
Yeah.
link name? I'll have it below, but
Yes.
let us know what you're working on, what you're offering, anything you'd like to share coming up.
My website is mediumcheryl.com. And you can always reach me on social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, on Medium Cheryl, at Medium Cheryl. I have a weekly healing prayer circle that I always invite people to. It's an online meditation healing prayer circle on Sunday nights, and it's free to join. It's every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. They can sign up on my website. I would love to have everyone join. It's such a high vibe community, and it happens on Zoom. It's a 30 or 40-minute time we can spend together and connect, talk about the energy, step into prayer and meditation. So I love my community. I want to share it with everyone. And then also I do small group readings. I not only do private readings, individual readings, but I also do small group readings where it's a everyone gets a reading. They're called my Circle of Love small group reading events. They're online and they happen every month. So you can always find me
Fun.
scheduling those out. And then now and then I do large audience readings with other mediums, and that's always a joy. I'll be with Thomas John next month. We're doing an
Oh,
online
fun.
event in September. But also, I do work with people independently or their families, even. But I love everything that I'm doing right now on my website. I also just started this energy transformation sessions where it's a membership, but you're with a group of people. And once again, we step into our own spiritual health and happiness. And how can we make our energy, alive and heal with that? And how can we call in abundance? So that's called energy transformation sessions. And that's something I just started this year. So I'm really excited about that.
All of this sounds like a lot of fun, and already I'm making a mental note. I'd love to sit,
Yeah.
to join some of these
Yeah.
events. So thank you so much, Cheryl
Oh,
Murphy, for coming and joining me and sharing your insight with my listeners and your experience. You are a beautiful light, and I'm so grateful that you showed up today to do this with me.
thank you, Shannon, for having me on. And it's been such a joy to be with you and to spend this time with you and your audience. So thank you.